Ooh. Hey guys, William here with Patriot Containers. Today's Monday the 25th. I want to finish this 6-part series of all the different conditions of containers that are available to you, and they're available to us sellers that we buy from the shipping lines if they are properly inspected and sold correctly. So I've already gone over IICL, cargo worthy, wind and watertight, and then as is. Out of those videos that I've already posted, I think the most beneficial one for everybody to see is the wind and watertight one, what that really is. I've been doing this for 13 years. Wind and watertight is one of those terms it's so abused and so confusing because everybody wants a container with holes. Most sellers aren't telling you with what that really is. And to be honest, it's a crappy container with no holes. There's proper ways to request containers, and it's up to the companies that are selling you something to be honest about it and describe it correctly so you're not upset on the delivery day. That being said, if you're new to my channel, I've been selling containers for 13 years and I've owned my own business for 11 years. I started Patriot Containers because the companies I used to work for were horrible and didn't do anything right for my customers that I was selling to, and I couldn't handle it anymore. I left and I started my own business. Patriot Containers has a history of 11 years of not having a single complaint from an actual buyer. I only have 3 complaints from 3 people that were mean to me on the phone, and I was mean back, and they left a bad review. So were they competitors? I don't know. Could have been real people. Some people call me, and there's a smart ass tone to them. They're combative. They know more than they should, and they're not wanting the help. They're literally trying to rile me up. Happens all the time. In 11 years, I've never called a competitor once. Up until about 4 months ago, I called 2 of the worst companies you can buy from, and I recorded the conversations, and I put it on YouTube. I did take the videos down for legal reasons. Anyways, that being said, this video is about damaged. Damaged is a container that most customers don't know about. They'll never request it, and most sellers will not offer it. Most sellers, so damaged is at the very bottom of quality. And then you have as is, then you have wind and watertight, then you have cargo worthy, IICL, and then a new one tripper. There's 6 different conditions to buy. The definition of damaged is, let's say this container is worth, we purchase it for $1,500. The damage, it's labeled as damaged is because it has such significant damage on the container that it's like a totaled car. The repairs cost more than the container is worth. So I read a lot of complaints on these competitors that you guys are calling, and the tall tale signs of the worst sellers are: we're nationwide, we're the most reviewed, lifetime warranties. If you don't like your container in 30, 60, 90 days, you can return it and get a full refund. These companies have terms and conditions on their websites to where everything that you were told upon your sale to make an emotional purchase is covered in their terms and conditions, to where they can get away with saying that because in their terms and conditions on their website, it's 14 pages long, and they don't have to honor anything that they've said. There's a difference between buying a container from a business owner that wants to help you versus a salesperson that wants to make a commission and make a paycheck, and their job is to close you as a sale. They think differently. But But yeah, damaged. I've seen on a lot of these complaints on these cargo container companies that you guys are talking to that are ripping you guys off. I've seen new ones where a customer paid top dollar for a new one trip container, and the door is mangled and fraying out, and the door seals are broken, and it's not slight, it's significant. How they bought that container is beyond me. If I purchased a new one trip container and my driver went to pick that up and just took it away, I would be furious that my customer ended up with a product like that. It was damaged, and that one door probably costs more than the container is worth. That's why it was sold to the seller that you bought from as damaged. You could have a container that, you expect a container, whether it's covered in rust or it's covered in good paint, to obviously have no holes, but it could be smashed in and the doors could be hanging off the hinges. And obviously it costs so much to repair that they're just going to leave it alone and sell it as a totaled car. It's kind of like a junkyard. You go to a junkyard and you have all these cars that are beyond fixable, so they'll just sell them as parts. It is insanely rare to find a customer that actually wants that. So if you buy that for your customers, obviously you're going to have a lot of complaints. Yeah, damaged. It's most companies don't even. It's funny. You got damaged and as is, and then you have wind and watertight. So a lot of people that are buying containers that don't know with what they're asking for, they want wind and watertight, but the company doesn't tell you that it could be the ugliest thing you've ever seen in your life. Below that is as is, and as is has holes or it doesn't, but they are old retired containers that are decommissioned, and then they're not allowed on the oceans. They're sold as is because they're crappy containers. So when you guys buy wind and watertight and then it shows up with holes, the company did not, they sold you wind and watertight, they purchased as is, and they delivered you an as is container with holes. And their bogus warranty is JB Weld or a fiberglass patch kit that they teach you on their YouTube channels how to repair their junk that they're going to deliver you. But it's not a permanent fix at all. It will fail at some point in time. And I have a video about how to repair containers properly, which is cutting out the section that's leaking and welding in a metal plate and then painting it so it doesn't rust. That's the real way. But yeah, damaged, it's probably going to be a short video. Damaged is just a container that has such significant damage that it costs more than the container is worth. And if a seller is purchasing damaged containers, they're purchasing the cheapest product with no morals and standards and then shipping that to you because of their terms and conditions protect that company for whatever they bring you, and you're stuck with it. You do have a choice when they bring you something like that. You can refuse it and say, you are not putting this on my property. If you've already made the decision of buying from one of these companies that are nationwide, were most reviewed, lifetime warranties, and you've already placed an order with them, which means you're stuck. Because they have cancellation fees, they have restocking fees, they want you to not reject the container when it gets there because they want the driver to unload and leave, because they know once that happens, 90% of the time that driver ain't coming back to get that container unless you pay for it, because these crappy companies will not lose a penny on you as a customer. They'll take your money, but they won't provide a remedy to fix the situation that you didn't cause, they did. So yes, I've seen a lot of containers that on their complaints on Yelp, on Google, on Better Business Bureau, thousands of complaints of containers that they have sold to their customers, and I promise the customer didn't ask for damage, and I promise that the company didn't say we're selling you a damaged container. That those words were not spoken. But when you see these pictures, it's like, wow, That's not wind and watertight. That's worse than as is. It's damaged and it's a totaled container. And the fact that these companies are purchasing that junk and selling it to you guys, it's like I mean, the only thing worse is a scam. A scam is where somebody is selling a new container for half the price of what people are selling used containers for, and then they talk you into paying by Zelle or wire transfer or whatever form of payment where you can't get your money back. And once you give them the money, they're gone and you don't get anything. So that's the lowest of low scum. But the second to lowest scum is these sellers that are saying everything it takes for you to make that purchase right then and there, and you're not reading into their complaints. You're only seeing with what they want to show you, and you're only hearing what they want you to hear. They're not being transparent at all about what they're selling. They're closing you as a sale. And these companies do purchase damaged containers, and once they show up with it, you have choices. You can refuse that container and lose your delivery money, probably a restocking fee, and then a cancellation fee. If you want to put more trust in them, they have a new scam now, which is, hey, if you don't like your container in 30, 60, 90 days, you can get a full refund. Well, you might want to read their terms and conditions, because they're not saying cancellation fee, restocking fee, paying the delivery there, and then paying the delivery when they come back. So if you've spent, let's say, $2,000 on the container, you're probably going to get $300 or $400 back. So the fact that they're saying a full refund, that's a lie. That is a lie. But yeah, damaged containers. I knew this video wasn't going to be too detailed. It's a container that has such significant damage that the repairs cost more than the container is worth. So they just leave it alone and not repair it. It could be a new one. It could be a good used one. It could be a rust bucket. They could be smashed in. The doors can be off the hinges. It could be anything, but it's most likely something that you do not want to buy. And it's not one of those containers that's affecting this industry. I think the most containers that affect this industry are sellers that have no standards and morals. They put their customers last, and they prey on people on the term wind and watertight. But then they purchase damaged or as-is containers, and then they bring that to you knowing there's nothing you can do about it. So anyways, guys, that's it. Damage sucks. Don't buy it. I don't think any of these sellers are telling you about it, even though they purchase those containers sometimes. Most of these sellers, if I could put a percent ratio on what they're really delivering you guys, when you buy wind and watertight, I bet you 90% of those wind and watertight containers are as is, which means that there's a big possible chance you could get a container with holes. And I think about 10% of those containers are sold as damaged. So that's it, guys. Have a great one. Monday the 25th, and there's no sun out today, so it's not too bright in here. So anyways, guys, have a great one. Bye.